Welcome back to Matt's Horsemanship. And today it's going to be a whole bunch of firsts today. It's going to be a little bit of an experimental video, and well, no thanks to you guys. I had to come up with my own ideas for what to do today because I asked you for some suggestions and you didn't give me any. So, well, we decided we were going to do what I talked about before. Is I'm going to attempt, when I say attempt, because I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but I'm going to attempt to show you how to teach a horse the neck rein, which, well, like I said, I think that's kind of something that, you know, real handy. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an experimental video in some ways because I'm going to be doing a lot of firsts in this one. It's going to be a whole bunch of different things we're going to do that are, sorry if I'm looking away from the camera, but I'm actually setting some stuff down here. I've got my hands full right now. But I actually bought myself a new camera. Well, new to me anyhow, it's not brand new. But I bought myself one of them there GoPro thingies. Because for certain positions and things I need to show you, well, we need a camera that we can kind of mount up in front of us to show you what our hands are doing and from the horseback perspective. And the camera that I used to have that I could do that with, well, it's done, unfortunately. So we actually had to go out and buy a new one. Like I said, new to us. And so today's video is going to be a little bit of experimental because I'm still, I think I got a few things sorted out on it. We played around with a bunch of settings on it and checked it out to see how well the audio worked and a few other things like that too. And I think it's actually working not too bad. Not as good as I would like. Unfortunately, well, there's certain things that you can't do a whole lot about right now. Maybe in the future we're going to be able to modify some stuff to make it work a little bit better, but short term, well, it is what it is. And of course there's lots of experimentation because, like I said, this is the first time I've used this camera for anything. I did a little playing around with it just to figure out some settings on it and that sort of stuff. And we got that sorted out, but we're still going to have to, this will be a first for me, trying to figure out how to edit files together from two different cameras and stuff like that. It's going to be a little bit tricky, so bear with me if it's not perfect, if the view isn't quite where it needs to be, that sort of thing. Well, we're working on it, and these GoPros, they don't have a monitor. You can see the newer ones, they do, but even at that, if you got it on the, say, the headband or the chest strap, you can't see the back of it, so you can't see the monitor anyhow. So it's kind of, we're just going to hope that it covers everything it needs to. And, kudos to the guys that use these things on a regular basis and do excellent pictures with them. I guess they've got some experience and they kind of have an idea what the range of view is on them. And like I said, right now it's all experimental for us. We're just trying this stuff out. We have no idea how it's going to work and how to edit files together, and I have enough trouble with that stuff as it is. So today's video is going to be a little bit on the experimental side. Now, if you excuse me for a minute, I got to run back outside and go get me a horse, and actually I got to go get me a saddle too. And well, we'll see what I can do about showing you how to teach a horse how to neck rein. Well, welcome back again. We've got a horse, and he's all saddled up and everything and ready to go. But before we get on him, though, we're just going to run through a few things because, well, one of the things when it comes, I'm going to back up a little. I'm going to go to when you first teach the horse to rein. I've said before, you start off with the softest cue you want, and that's what, and then you escalate from there until the horse responds, and gradually you can eliminate the escalation or reduce it to the point where the first cue is the one the horse responds to. Now in this case, all I have to do is pick up a rein and he'll turn his head. So he's not in good position. He's not cooperating. He doesn't understand this whole concept of cameras, but
I just lift it up, and he turns his head. Okay. Now, when you first start teaching your horse to rein, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to hold the rein a fair ways out. And I've said before, you got to, when it comes to cueing your horse for things, especially if when it's learning, you have to be very clear with your cues. Now, in more advanced stages, all you got to do is just pick it up a bit, quite close in, and they'll respond to it. But initially, when you're first teaching him, you'll hold the rein out quite a ways away when you pull on it, so that he understands very clearly that you want him to turn his head that direction, and that's exactly what he'll do. Now, that's one of the few exceptions to you kind of do it backwards a bit, is you start off with something that, well, it's not what you want to end up with. What you want to end up with is in here, so you just pick up the rein and the horse very softly turns. But for reining, though, that is one of the few things where you don't exactly start out with your softest cue. You actually start out with one that's a little bit exaggerated, shall we say. And, well, that's just, that's one of the few things where you absolutely have to do that, unfortunately. But for most cues, though, no matter what they are, you start off with the softest cue and then escalate from there. For example, if I want him to move forward off a very gentle squeeze, that's what I'm going to give him. If I want him to move, I'm just going to give him a very gentle squeeze. Hey, where do you think you're going, buddy? And that's what he'll do eventually. But to begin with, he doesn't have a clue what that means, so I have to escalate from there. I might squeeze gently, then I squeeze a little harder. Maybe I'll give him a clock. Maybe I'll have my little stick with me and give him a tap on the rump, just gently. But I escalate until eventually, now, all I got to do is give him a very, very gentle squeeze, and away he goes. There's nothing needed. Well, when it comes to neck reining, the principle is actually very similar. Is before you escalate, you want to start off with a cue that is going to be your first cue, and that's the one you want in the end, and it's going to be your softest one, and that's going to be your neck reining. That's where you just take and lay the rein across the neck, and the horse responds to it. Now, unfortunately, I may not actually get to show you really, really well on him, because he's already advancing quite quickly on this stuff. And he's not done yet, though. So hopefully I'm going to get to show you a bit. And even if it's not entirely necessary, I'm probably still going to show you, but I'm going to do it fairly briefly. But it won't hurt him to have a little bit of a reminder once in a while what comes next, because it's like anything, you escalate. But our first cue that we want is just that rein laying on the neck, and he turns that direction. And so that's the cue we're going to start with, but we're going to follow up with something else after that, so that he realizes that if he doesn't respond to that, you are going to escalate to something else. And eventually you won't have to escalate. That first cue, he'll connect it to the escalation, and he'll realize, okay, I understand what they want. This always happens first. So I'm just going to react to that instead of waiting for the next thing to happen. And that's the way it works with almost all cues, no matter what you're trying to get your horse to do. You start off with the very softest cue, the one that you actually want in the end. Remember that. This is the one that you want in the end. That's the one you start with. And neck reining, very much the same thing. Now, I happen to know and have used maybe 3 or 4 different methods. And I'm going to say that, depending on the horse, it's going to vary. Like I said, no 2 horses are alike. And you might have to try something a little bit different, come up with something different. With this one here, because I'm not using a bit on him, one of the methods that I have used in the past, absolutely cannot use with him because it requires a bit. But that's okay. I don't think it's a particularly great method anyhow, but it was one of the first ones I learned. And it does work, but I think the one that we're using on him is actually one of the best ones. It makes the most sense, and I've used it successfully on several horses. But like I said, no 2 horses are alike, and you might actually find out that it doesn't work on your horse, and you might have to come up with something else. And, well, I'm sorry if this doesn't work, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work on most horses. So I think it's safe to show you this one. And You'll notice in the background here, I got a couple poles set up too, and they're not, where you put them or anything doesn't really matter. I just threw them out there just to give me some place to turn around and just to practice our neck reining, because this is something that, you know, it's still in its infancy with him. I still have to practice it, and having obstacles that we can go around is always helpful. So that's why there's a couple poles sitting there. Is we're actually going to go around them, and that's what we're going to be using as our steering points to practice our neck reining. We're going to do ovals, we're going to do figure eights, and maybe some small circles, all kinds of things. Anything that involves steering, it's all practice. So I think I've covered everything I need to cover now. Like I said, might not work with your horse. I'm not going to promise it does. This is what, as I've said in any of my demos before, this is what I am doing in this situation with that particular horse. No guarantee it's going to work for you, but this particular method that I'm about to show you has worked successfully on quite a few horses, so there is a very good chance that it is going to work for you. The logic behind it, the process behind it is very sound. So I think your odds of it working are pretty good, you know, up to 99% maybe. I don't know, it might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but hey, we'll figure it out as we go. And oh, by the way, when I switch to the other camera, when I'm on his back, the audio is going to be a little different. Bear with me, I kind of have worked with it a bit to figure out I got it as good as I can. It's not going to be quite as good as the audio you're hearing right now, but in the future maybe we're going to improve it a little bit. But one other thing that you're going to notice is you're going to hear a lot of background noise, because right now outside it is really, really windy today. The wind just picked up in the past half hour. Forecast is for some pretty nasty gusts, and so pretty much everything's banging and rattling and squeaking and clunking and, you know, all kinds of things. And well, that might even actually have a bit of an effect on our ride today, because well, as most of you know, horses get a little uptight in the wind, and although he is generally a pretty cool guy most of the time, it's not to say that can't happen. So I'm going to get back to you in a bit when I get on him, and we'll show you what we do to teach neck riding. It's actually very simple. It probably won't take me long to show you, but in order to get it good, though, it might take you actually quite a while practicing it and doing it over and over and over. It's like, you know, like most things, you know, it doesn't come instant. You know, you got it takes a while, many repetitions, and then they catch on. And but the principle behind what you need to do, very simple. Shouldn't take me too long to show you. As long as things work out for us, we'll see. Talk to you in a minute.
Okay, hopefully you can see what I'm doing from here. Here's my hands. Now, to start with, you know, you're going to use two hands in your reins. Now, it doesn't matter whether you got roping reins or split reins, but you're going to have to use two hands, because you're going to have to be able to draw out to the side either way, depending on which way you want them to go. Once you get it all sorted out and he starts doing it good, you can use just one hand, and that's the beauty of neck reining, is it does not require two hands. Now, I think the camera might be actually a tiny bit off center. I can't tell for sure, but I'm using a chest mount, and it doesn't seem to be sitting quite straight for some reason. It's pointing a little to one side. I don't know. I haven't got this stuff all figured out, but we're on his back now, and I was saying you want your horse to be able to start off with a real gentle squeeze. Well, you'll also notice since I've got on him, he's not moving anywhere. I haven't moved. We're still sitting beside the mounting block here. Now I'm going to give him just the most gentle squeeze, and well, hopefully he's going to go. There we go. That's what I wanted. Now, as we wander along, what we're going to do is, now he's already getting pretty good with his neck reining, but not perfect. Now, here, right now, perfect. He's doing it, but not well. I'm having to pull a little too far. So what we do, that's when the second hand comes in. Once you've touched the neck, then you pick up the other rein, if he doesn't respond, and you turn him with it. You direct rein. Just a little bit over that way. We want to go around this pole. Now I want to Now if he'll neck rein, see he neck reins, he's doing fine. As long as he responds, we don't follow through. But your follow-up cue is, when you're riding, first you touch his neck, and if that doesn't make him respond, then you pick up the inside rein just enough to get him to turn the amount that you wanted him to turn in the first place. Now, we're going to go back over here. He's getting a little concerned about things today. It's not cool. He's getting kind of excited, which, again, like I said, it's windy. Doesn't surprise me, but okay, the pole off to our right there. We want to go around it. So I'm going to neck rein him to the right, and if he doesn't respond, which he is, but I'm ready. I've got my other hand on the reins, so if I have to, he's not turning enough, so I'm going to just pick that one up just a tiny bit. There we go. Now we're going to go this way, and then I'm neck reining him, and he's not responding enough, so I'm going to pick up on the inside one just a little bit. And again, I'm still exaggerating a bit here with him because he's still pretty green, but we want him to keep going here. He actually started to slow down. He almost stopped there, so we actually had to give him a squeeze. That's, again, correction. That's not what I wanted. Now, I'm not using the right hand rein because he responded to the neck rein. Now, again, I'm going to put the rope on his neck. He's not responding enough, so I'm going to pick up the other one and bring his head around a little more so he turns as sharp as I would really like him to. And then when I center off again, it's not pressing on either side of his neck. So again, neck rein. He's responding, not quite enough. I'll give a little bit on the pick up on the inside rein. There we go. And then we center off again. Leave it slack on both sides. And this time we're just going to go down the arena a little bit here. And we'll see what happens here if I just neck rein him. Just neck rein him. He's turning, and actually fairly sharp. Not bad. But like I said, this is new, fairly new to him. So we still have to do the corrections that I'm showing you. Is if we ask him to turn left and he doesn't turn immediately or sharp enough, we pick up the other rein and just lightly. You don't have to get in a tug of war with your horse. Never ever. You got to be soft all the time, because it's like the old saying: you cannot train them with a shout and expect them to listen to a whisper. And hard cues. Now he wants to turn around the other way. I'm going to go opposite. There's something else you can do. See, I'm neck reining him, but he's not turning as much as I would like. So again, I'm going to pick up that inside rein a little bit. Not a lot, just gently. And we're just going to keep going. Now we're going to head straight towards that pole. He doesn't even know which way we're going to go. I think I want to go on the other side because he's trying to go the other way. I'm going to go exactly opposite of what he wants. Now we're going to neck rein him, but he's not turning sharp enough. Pick up the inside rein again, and that makes our turn. See, it's as simple as that. And eventually, if you always pick up that other rein when he doesn't respond, then he's going to learn. Let's see if he's ignoring it now, so I'll just pick up that inside rein. He's actually worse than usual today, but that's okay because it makes for a good demo. And you may have to, yes, I just stopped him. You'll notice I didn't move the reins. I actually just leaned back a little bit, and it's one of those things the horse learns from context. When you want something, it's called stopping off your seat. All you got to do is just rock back a little bit, and he stops. And he's always done that for me. Been very good that way. I can also stop him by picking up the reins if I really want to, but I don't have to, so I don't bother. He knows what I want, so we do it that way. But that's why I said this video might be fairly short, because there's not a lot to it. It's very simple. Then you neck rein first, and if he doesn't respond to that, then you direct rein, just like that. And you do the same thing the other way. You neck rein. If he doesn't respond, you pick up the outside rein, turn his head the other way. And we're not moving right now, so obviously he's not turning. He's just moving his head back and forth. That's okay, though. He's still responding, which is what we want. Now we're just going to move along a little bit. And it doesn't matter whether you're at a walk or a trot. Actually, this is probably best at just a walk to start with. And I want to turn him that way, so I'm neck reining first. And he's actually turning very good this time. So I don't even have to follow through with the jacking things up in the request with the outside, or the inside rein, I should say. But this is how it works, is you just, what you want is the neck rein. What he needs to know that if you do that and he doesn't respond, there's going to be a follow-up. There's going to be something else. The cue is going to escalate to the direct rein. And eventually he'll learn that as soon as that rein touches his neck, that means turn. Again, he's not super responsive yet, but he's getting there. But I want him turn a little sharper than that. So we're just going to pick up that inside one a little bit, so that he realizes as long as that rope is still on reins, I'm using a lead rope, so as long as that's on his neck, he knows that he's supposed to continue turning, possibly even sharper. Let's see what he does this time. He is responding, but not enough. I'm going to pick up that inside rein a little more. There we go. And we center off again, and we just keep going. And that's basically all there is to it. And after a while, you won't have to use two hands anymore. You'll be able to ride with one hand like this, and he's going to go wherever you want him to go just by doing that. This is a little premature to even be thinking about doing that, but hey, I just wanted to show you what you can get. He isn't always going to respond that well, but he can, and so that's what you're shooting for. Like I said, first thing you do, rein or rope. I keep saying rope because I'm using my lead rope, but you just put one across his neck, and if he doesn't respond to that, you pick up the other one until he turns to the desired amount. And when you're going straight, don't cue either side. Leave him alone on what's called a slack rein, because riding with contact, having tension on the reins all the time, that can cause problems. I mentioned that in another video. I don't believe in doing that stuff. A lot of people will teach it. I don't agree with it. I think it's a problem. It creates problems. I'm not going to bother elaborating on that now, but just remember, when you want them to go straight, make sure that you're neutral. You're not cueing one way or the other. But when you want them to turn, the rein on the one side of the neck, and if he doesn't immediately respond to that, then just pick up the other one just ever so slightly, and he'll turn. And pretty soon, as soon as the rein touches the neck on either side, he knows exactly what you want, and that's exactly what you're going to get. See, told you, very simple, short video. And we're just going to move over here a little bit more, and we're just going to stop here and hop off, and I'll talk to you again in a minute here, just to kind of finalize things.
Okay, so we're back with you here, and excuse the slightly fogged up lenses, but my horse just breathed on it. And it's cold out, so it fogs up the lens. Actually, it's clearing off. I can see on the monitor the picture's getting a little clearer. But anyhow, that's about it. It's that simple. You just apply one cue, the one that you actually want. If he doesn't respond to that one, you escalate to the direct rein. So it's that simple. It's like teaching much of anything else. All you're doing is adding one more cue in front of the one that you've already been using. And I would recommend that you don't try this on a horse that doesn't steer well to begin with. If your horse doesn't steer well to begin with, you should be working on that, and then you can worry about the neck reining thing. And you can go ahead and teach them this stuff. Like I said, it's handy. It's nice to have one hand free at all times and still have full control over the horse. And that's how things work. And you don't have to get into a fight with the horse. Soft, very soft, gentle cues always, no matter what you're doing with your horse. And like I said, I've personally used several different methods. And in fact, I got one horse even right now. Nobody ever taught her to neck rein, and she neck reins better than any horse I've ever seen. Some horses are just like that. My little girl, I trained her. She could neck rein the first time I rode her because I taught her enough things on the ground that made her sensitive to the pressure on the neck, that as soon as she felt something. There was one other horse, actually, it wasn't mine, that I rode somebody else's, and just for the fun of it one day, I rode him with just a rope around his neck, and I could steer him that way. And that's very similar to neck reining, because the pressure of the rope on the neck is all it took to cue him to turn and stop, and everything else. He actually did everything just as, not quite as well as he would with reins, but pretty darn close. And considering that nobody had ever taught that horse to neck rein, I think he did really well. And so, you know, but like I said, there's more than one way. I've employed, you know, a few different ways, but I think this one is probably the most sound and sensible one, and probably the most effective, and would probably work on the greatest number of horses. So I thought I'd share it with you. So there you go. Set your one hand free so you can wave at people, and have a good day.